Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The graduate commencement exercises will begin shortly. This is a momentous day for each student graduating. Out of respect for each student, please turn off all electronic devices and remain seated during the ceremony. As a reminder, we ask that you wear your mask throughout the ceremony. The 180th Manhattan College commencement exercises are about to begin. Please take your seats and clear the center aisle for the start of the academic procession. Please rise for the posting of the colors by the Manhattan College Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps, Detachment 560. Dr. Baman Lakui, Professor of Mechanical Engineering, Director of the Graduate Program in Mechanical Engineering, and Chief Marshal, leads the procession, carrying the Manhattan Mace. Historically a weapon, the mace symbolizes authority, scholarship, and continuity, and traces its use in ceremonial processions to the Middle Ages. The Manhattan College Mace features the Manhattan College Seal, which was adapted from the seal of the Institute of the Christian Brothers. Sign of faith, the Lasallian Star, is centered on the shield, with each of its 5 points representing the 5 core principles set forth by St. John Baptist de La Salle: respect for all people, quality education, inclusive community, concern for the poor and social justice, and faith in the presence of God. The college's name is etched around the shining star and completes the seal. The banner arts is now presented. The schools of arts and science are Manhattan's oldest schools, founded in 1853. The mission of the School of Liberal Arts supports the college's tradition of liberal inquiry, reflection on faith in relation to reason, emphasis on ethical conduct, and commitment to social justice. This school seeks to educate its students broadly, considering timeless issues and providing timely preparation so that its graduates turn into the informed, confident, ethical, and caring adults that today's world needs. The interim dean of the School of Liberal Arts is Dr. Corey Bladd. The symbol of the School of Arts is the Lasallian Star. The banner of the School of Science is now presented. After 140 years in alliance with the School of Arts, the School of Science became a separate school in 1993. The interim dean of the School of Science is Dr. Janet McShane. The mission of this school is to help our students to see, to know, and to act, to see their place and responsibilities in a world of conflicting moral and ethical claims, to know not only the how, but also the why of scientific inquiry, and to follow in a long line of Manhattan graduates who have made a difference in a wide variety of careers in science. The symbol of the atom on the banner of the School of Science represents the fundamental building block of this academic discipline. The golden yellow of the banner of the School of Science reflects its academic heraldry. Following the banner are the graduate students who will be awarded Master of Science degrees from the School of Science. The banner of the School of Engineering is now proceeding forward. The School of Engineering was established in 1892. Its first graduate degrees was granted in 1962. The Dean of the School of Engineering is Dr. Tim Ward. The mission of the Manhattan School of Engineering is to prepare each student for a productive and rewarding career in engineering or a related profession. The orange color of the banner reflects the established academic heraldry. Following the banner are the graduate students who will be awarded master's degrees from the School of Engineering. The banner of the School of Education and Health is now processing in. The School of Education and Health was founded in 1921 and was officially granted a graduate division in 1937. The Dean of the school is Dr. Karen Nicholson. The School of Education and Health is committed to the mission of Manhattan College to provide a contemporary, person-centered education that embodies the LaSallian traditions of scholarship, excellence in teaching, respect for individual dignity, and commitment to social justice. In addition, its graduates are self-directed, reflective, scholarly professionals dedicated to the highest standards for themselves and those they serve. The iconic cupola that sits on top of Smith Auditorium is represented in blue, reflecting the academic heraldry of the discipline. The graduate students of the School of Education and Health follow its banner. Banner of the O'Malley School of Business is now presented. The School of Business was founded in 1927, 5 years after Manhattan was established on its current campus. Master's degrees were first awarded in 1978. The dean is Dr. Donald Gibson. Inspired by LaSallian tradition, the mission of this school is to prepare students from diverse backgrounds for the challenges that they will face as business and community leaders. The faculty of the school, as teachers, scholars, and mentors, foster the development of the whole person by taking advantage of the easy access to the business capital of the world, New York City, and integrating a values-based education with current business theory, skills, and practices. The banner for the O'Malley School of Business sports an olive drab design on behalf of the academic heraldry of the discipline. The graduate students of the O'Malley School of Business follow its banner. The banner of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies is now presented. The School of Continuing and Professional Studies has its roots in the School of General Studies, which was founded in 1970. Master's degrees were first awarded in 2013. Dr. Stephen Goss is dean. The mission of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies is to prepare adult students for success in emerging global, corporate, or industrial environments. The school is committed to creating and offering programs designed to serve the adult population. The banner boasts an image of a torch, the universal symbol of continuous learning. Following the banner are the graduate students from the School of Continuing and Professional Studies. Dr. Richard Carbonaro, Professor of Chemical Engineering, Director of Chemical Engineering Graduate Program, and today's Faculty Marshal, leads the distinguished faculty of Manhattan College. Among this group are the program directors for the School of Education and Health, the School of Engineering, the School of Science, and the O'Malley School of Business. The essential features of the academic regalia worn at American college exercises originated in the garb of the Middle Ages. The hood was a head covering that, like the monk's cowl, dropped onto the shoulders. Today, each college has a distinctive colored hood lining by which its graduates may be recognized. In the Middle Ages, bachelor's and master's degrees could be distinguished by the simplicity or elaborateness of their gowns. The wide velvet borders on the front of the doctoral gown and the velvet bars on the sleeves are colored according to the scholarly field of the wearer. The platform party is led by Manhattan College's vice presidents: Stephen Schreiner, vice president and provost; Brother Jack Curran, vice president for mission; Barbara Fabe, vice president for human resources; Thomas Moriello, vice president for college advancement; Matthew McManus, vice president for finance; and Esmelda Abreu Hornbossel, Interim Vice President for Student Life and Dean of Students. Included in our platform party are our college chaplain, Reverend Thomas Franks, Order of the Friars Minor Capuchin, Poonam Aurora, Professor of Management and Marketing, Mr. Carlos Tonche, Registrar, Rachel Bowers, our graduate valedictorian, and Roy. We welcome the Vice Presidents, the College Deans, the Manhattan College Trustees, our honorary degree recipient, and the President of Manhattan College to the platform.
Good afternoon. President O'Donnell, members of the Board of Trustees of Manhattan College, honored guests, administration and faculty, graduates, families and friends, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 180th commencement exercises of Manhattan College, honoring those students who have successfully completed courses of study for master's degrees. By the authority of the Board of Regents of the State of New York, with the concurrence of the Board of Trustees of Manhattan College, and upon recommendation of the deans of the faculties of the schools of the college, the president will confer degrees earned in the students' respective courses of study. I'm Dr. Steve Schreiner, and provost of the college, and I will serve as the master of ceremonies today. To begin this ceremony, I ask that you stand for the invocation to be given by Brother Jack Kern, FSC, Vice President for Mission. Please remain standing and join in singing our national anthem after the invocation.
This is the day the Lord has made. So let us, with joyful hearts and warm smiles, remember that we are now and always in the holy presence of our most merciful and compassionate God. Jewish wisdom tells us, do not be daunted by the world's grief. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. As you head out into the so-called big world, I encourage you to forget about that big world. But don't you dare abandon the small worlds, the ones you can see and touch and hear. The only world you are obligated to change are the small ones, the relationships in which you live, the office in which you're in, the Uber in which you are in, the dinner table, the community and the family with which you live. The person that you see in the mirror each and every day, for it all starts with you. So for God's sake, don't spend your life watching the news. It's all too often bad news. Instead, be the news. Be the change that the world needs. In fact, you are supposed to be the good news. That's what Jesus calls us to do. So go forth and make a new world by doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Get out there and smile ever so warmly and authentically. And you will touch the hearts and change the world for the better. O life-giving God, we pray that you shower your blessings on our two distinguished honorees, Jim McCann and Rachel Bowers. folks whose lives bring hope and healing, joy and promise to all whom they encounter. Loving God, we pray that you bless President Brennan O'Donnell as he concludes his service as president of Manhattan College. And likewise, bless each and every one of us, especially our graduates, their families, spouses, and loved ones. O Lord, inspire and enliven us all to have grateful hearts, inquisitive minds, and sincere souls as we celebrate this day made by you with faith, hope, and joy in your holy name, now and forever. Amen.
Please be seated. At this time, I would like to welcome all of you to our 2022 commencement. We convene today to honor and congratulate our students upon the completion of their course of studies, to celebrate their impressive record of accomplishment, and to acknowledge the hard work and sacrifice that has brought them to this point in their lives. Manhattan College is a close-knit community with relationships, affinities, and ties throughout the world. The college prepares men and women for a lifetime of service and collaborative work to improve the conditions of others and for the success in building careers that transform their dreams into reality and contribute to the greater good of society. Today we honor men and women who have realized their potential and who look forward to a bright future. In our celebration, we wish these graduates lifelong achievement and fulfillment. I would now like to recognize Dr. Brennan O'Donnell, President of the college. Dr. O'Donnell. The Manhattan College Board of Trustees is comprised of men and women who give generously of their time, talent, and resources to assure that Manhattan College continues to fulfill its noble mission as a Lasallian Catholic institution. I would like to recognize the following members who are representing the Manhattan College Board of Trustees today. Mr. William Dooley, Chair of the Board of Trustees. Brother William Mann, FSC. And Brother Robert Smith, FSC. It's also my pleasure to introduce our honorary degree recipient, Mr. Jim McCann. Mr. McCann. Now I'd like to recognize the graduate program directors and the administrators of the School of Education and Health, the School of Engineering, the O'Malley School of Business, the School of Science, the School of Continuing Professional Studies, faculty members who work diligently with our graduate students. Please stand and be recognized. Kindly hold your applause until all have been called. Dr. Corinne Fitzpatrick, Director of Mental Health Counseling. Sister Remigia Kushner, Director of the Program in School Leadership. Dr. Michelle Bell, Director of Marriage and Family Therapy. Dr. Bauman Litgui, Director of Graduate Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Richard Carbonaro, Director of Graduate Chemical Engineering. Dr. Jessica Wilson, Director of Graduate Environmental Engineering. Dr. Mark Waldman, Co-Director of the MBA program. Dr. Richard Ross, Co-Director of the MBA program. Dr. Angel Pineda, Director of Graduate Mathematics. Dr. Igor Eisenberg, Director of the Graduate Computer Science. And Ms. Rosemary Osso, Assistant Dean of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies. Thank you all for everything you do for the students. Thank you. By tradition, we begin our commencement exercises at Manhattan College with an address by one of the graduates. To represent the students receiving degrees today, it is a pleasure to introduce at this time Ms. Rachel Bowers of the School of Education and Health, who will deliver the valedictory address. A 2016 graduate of the Pennsylvania State University, Rachel received a Bachelor of Arts, having majored in psychological and social sciences with a minor in human development and family studies. Today, she graduates from Manhattan College with a Master's in Arts in the School of Counseling. Having merited a grade point average of 4.0, she is today the recipient of the Fitzpatrick Family Medal. Ms. Bowers combines academic excellence and Lasallian values, the markings of a true Lasallian. She served for 3 years as a Lasallian volunteer and has been the Lasallian Ambassador, graduate assistant for the Office of Mission, and is Residence Life Senior Staff Member at Manhattan College. She also served as a school counseling intern at 2 Bronx public schools local to the college. Rachel's future plan is to obtain a position as a school counselor in the New York City or Philadelphia metropolitan areas. She states that it is her Lasallian volunteer work that has inspired her to continue her calling as an educator. It is now my pleasure to introduce Ms. Rachel Bowers.
President O'Donnell, honored guests, faculty, parents, fellow graduates, and friends. Firstly, I offer my fellow graduate colleagues congratulations on making it to this very moment and turning the page to a brand new chapter ahead of you. It is my honor to speak on behalf of our experiences and successes as graduate professionals at Manhattan College. Some members of our community may know me as the woman who buys folks coffee at Starbucks, offers my umbrella on a rainy day, or shouts, "How you doing, hon?" in my distinct Philly accent to literally anyone who I cross paths with. These simple acts of kindness might make the person who I choose to connect with smile, but what they don't know is that their acceptance of my enthusiastic and authentic self gives me a purpose and fuels me to continue to display that contagious love for all every day. When I applied to Manhattan College, I included a quote on my statement of interest written by Frederick Buckner, which stated, "Vocation is the place where the world's greatest need and a person's greatest joy meet." I am naturally selfless, empathetic, creative, and full of energy. I was born to be a school counselor. I just needed to find a place to support me through my studies so I could one day go out and do the work. Manhattan College exceeded what I desired in a graduate level education, and for that, I'm truly grateful. In addition to simply obtaining a diploma, I chose to embrace my time here, allowing me to develop holistically and find happiness in that process. I truly wouldn't be in this position without the inspiration of those surrounding me today. I share this stage with future educators, counselors, leaders, business professionals, scientists, engineers, and mathematicians, some of whom are first-generation students, veterans, parents, and full-time working professionals who successfully balanced their time and energy to obtain a graduate degree. And to me, that is impressive. Together as a cohort, we share memories of reviewing that one syllabus to that one course we never thought we would pass, and that overwhelming feeling of relief when finally reaching our classroom destinations after hiking those dreadful Manhattan College steps. Society dared us to navigate the waters of a global pandemic that still remains with us today. Our creativity was tested in developing safe ways to connect with professors, friends, and loved ones while simultaneously managing our own health and well-being. We didn't skip a beat with classes or assignments and persistently remained on track to graduate in order to reach our predetermined goals. We made it, fam. We're here. It's time to take what we've learned in our respective areas of expertise, along with the universal life lessons we encountered throughout our educational experience at Manhattan College, and show the world what we've got. Whether you have reflected on it or not, we have completed our degrees from a Lasallian institution. A Lasallian education is rooted in 5 core principles: faith in the presence of God, concern for the poor and social justice, respect for all persons, quality education, and inclusive community. When reflecting on your Lasallian education, recall the times of those intimate discussions that you encountered due to small class sizes, the individual and empathetic support you received from your professors, or the time you may have set aside to reflect on your unique vocation. Referring back to Frederick Buckner's quote, "Vocation is the place where the world's greatest need and a person's greatest joy meet." I encourage you to let your Lasallian educational experience link your passions and joys within your career with the skills and talents that you have cultivated on your individual scholastic journey as you venture into this new chapter. Acknowledging one's career as a vocation is a beautiful reminder to go beyond the traditional workday and the expectations that come along with that. Just like my daily interactions with folks around me, obtaining this perspective will not only impact those around you, but can also guide you on a path to happiness and success in life. Finally, success is not something that comes to all of us naturally, but with the support of a community to lean on. On behalf of the graduate class of 2022, I would like to recognize the administration, faculty, and staff at Manhattan College for presenting us with the opportunities and challenges that got us to where we are today. Additionally, I invite you to choose someone who has wholly supported you in becoming the professional that you always dreamt of becoming. Take a moment at some point today to thank that person, whether it's a professor, a mentor, a colleague, or a loved one. They're just as proud of you today as you always hoped they would be. Lastly, I wish you all the best on your individual journeys and truly feel confident in your success down the road. Thank you for sharing today with me, and congratulations again on your accomplishments.
Thank you, Rachel, for that inspiring address. It's very good. The men and women of the class of 2022 are comprised of a remarkable body of alumni who provide outstanding examples of leadership, achievement, and service to others. Our graduates serve their city, their nation, their professions, and their college by continuing to apply the excellent education they received at Manhattan and to exemplify the Lasallian virtues and principles that were encouraged in their years here. I now have the honor of calling forward Mr. James McCann, a candidate for the honorary degree. The degree will be conferred by President O'Donnell. The citation will be read by Dr. Donald Gibson, Dean of the O'Malley School of Business. Mr. McCann will receive his doctoral hood from Brother William Mann, as you know, a member of our Board of Trustees, and Dr. Poonam Arora, professor in the O'Malley School of Business. Will Mr. McCann, Brother William, Dr. Arora, and Dr. Gibson please come forward? President O'Donnell, I have the honor of presenting to you, excuse me, go ahead. President O'Donnell, I have the honor of presenting to you Mr. James McCann as a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Very good. Today, it is our privilege to recognize James F. Jim McCann, a truly visionary entrepreneur, author, public speaker, and philanthropist whose personal commitment to excellence and service continues to make life better for many of our society's most vulnerable citizens. Jim, your achievements are profoundly inspiring to our campus community. Manhattan is, of course, a Lasallian Catholic college, one that prepares students to make a positive difference in their communities and careers. As a graduate of Brooklyn's Bishop Laughlin Memorial High School, our fellow Christian Brothers institution, you also embrace this mission. As the founder and former chief executive officer of 1-800-Flowers.com, you have been a revolutionary force in your industry, earning acclaim for pioneering the use of toll-free numbers and the internet to reach customers and build sales. Today, 1-800-Flowers.com ranks among Fortune lists of the 100 fastest growing companies. At the same time, you are a tireless advocate for adults with developmental disabilities. One example of your efforts is Smile Farms Incorporated. Partnering with your brother, Christopher G. McCann, and the independent group Living Home on Long Island, you opened the first campus of this nonprofit enterprise in 2015, providing meaningful job opportunities for those whom employers often overlook. It has been quite a journey for a self-described Irish Catholic kid from South Queens. You are the oldest of 5 siblings, and your brother Kevin, who has developmental disabilities, remains the centerpiece of your family to this day. Your parents instilled an appreciation for hard work, empathy, and personal initiative. For example, your parents formed a neighborhood group for Kevin and other young people with developmental disabilities, gathering on weekends with families and children who shared similar needs. You earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from the John Jay College of Criminal Justice in 1974. For several years, you served as a program administrator at a group home for boys. To support your growing family, you also tended bar on the weekends. One day, a customer said he was selling a flower shop across the street. You bought the business, which led to the billion-dollar enterprise of today. So bartending works, apparently. Keep that in mind. You realized you enjoyed building relationships with customers, helping them to mark many of life's most significant occasions, And you discovered something else as well. There was no McDonald's of the flower business. Determined to change this, you bought more shops, including one that owned the famed telephone number. In the 1990s, you embraced the emerging internet, making 1-800-Flowers one of the first retailers with an online presence. Soon after, you adopted mobile technology. In 1999, the company went public. Though you stepped down as chief executive officer in 2016, you continue to serve as chair of the company. You also remain active in philanthropic causes and cherish time with your family. Jim, your deeds and accomplishments truly embody the goals of a Lasallian Catholic education, the strong foundation of our college's mission since 1853. In recognition of the many ways in which you work for the common good, Manhattan College is pleased to honor you today. President O'Donnell, I present to you James F. McCann, and I invite you to confer upon him the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By the authority granted to Manhattan College by the Regents of the University of the State of New York, and with the approval of the Board of Trustees of the college, I confer upon James McCann the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all rights and privileges pertaining to that rank. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to present to you Dr. James McCann, who will deliver the commencement address.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for this distinguished honor, and congratulations on the achievement of your master's degrees. It's an unbelievably momentous day for you. I can see it in some of your eyes right here. You're wondering, how did you get the flower guy? I mean, President O'Donnell had a long list of potential speakers for today, but Dr. Fauci was busy over at Princeton. Tyler Perry is over at Emory today, and my good friend Judge Judy is at the New York Law School. Now, I'll tell you a little secret here. I'm actually friends with Judge Judy, and she's only about this big, but I'm still frightened of her. You know, Taylor Swift had a little event across the river today at Yankee Stadium, so she wasn't available either. But I have a lot more in common with Taylor Swift than you might think. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time here talking about that Jake Gyllenhaal guy. He did me a dirty too. And don't get me started on Kanye West. He knows what he did. A little bit about maybe how I really got here. As you heard, I started in the 80s. I named a company 1-800-Flowers. I know this is a young crowd, and we've mentioned the 80s and the 70s here today, so I might have to do a little history context here. Mentioned before of a toll-free number. Let me explain. At one time, telephones were very expensive. And we created an 800 number, which was free to encourage people to incur the cost of long-distance calling. In fact, I might have to go back a little further, because if I'm going to talk about a telephone is a thing we used to have in our house to communicate with people. It's a lot like an iPhone today, only it had a wire and it didn't have Wordle. Now, we use that telephone and the other technologies that were mentioned to make it easy for people to express themselves and connect all the important people in their lives. And what this whole past couple of years of the COVID experience has taught us is that the most important thing in life, the way we measure our success, the way we measure our happiness, it's all about relationships. And in the 40-plus years of being a florist, I've learned that relationships are key because we help people in that expression and connection every day. At the beginning of COVID, I began to write a letter. Now, this is the same guy at Lachlan or John Jay. I never got a term paper in on time. But I started to write a letter every Sunday to our customer base, who we now think of much more as a community. We call that newsletter The Pulse. And it's not about selling anything. It's about expressing how we were feeling and what we were going through with a basis about relationships. Now, there are 7.5 million subscribers today to that Pulse. So the pressure to produce this every week is getting stronger all the time. 7.5 million subscribers is 3 times what Time Magazine is. Magazine. A magazine is a thing you used to do with paper and photographs and editorial, and you'd print it, you'd staple it, you'd put it on a never mind. But what we've learned, and the wonderful people I get to work with in putting together that Pulse every week, and now the podcast that goes with it, about relationships, is that I was able to assemble a wonderful team of some of the best and most thoughtful professionals in psychology and the social services. And what I took away in my lessons from them about relationships, that there are 3 key elements that I'd ask all of us to think about today. The 3 things that I learned through the COVID experience has been, 1, in terms of relationships, nurture the relationships you already have. Second thing is, go back to the ones that have faded away and invest in them. Decide which ones matter to you and that you want to see if you can rekindle them. And be deliberate about creating new ones. Now, learning those lessons from these very wise folks, it taught me that we all have an amazing power, each of us. And I'm encouraging you today to use that power ever more. It's a daily practice that takes nurturing and maintaining, kind of like an orchid. All right, enough with the flower metaphors, but this one I feel deeply, right down to my stems. Okay, enough. But one of those lessons I've learned was about reconnection. Who do you want to reconnect with? Who do you want to stay with? And let me tell you a story of my own deep lesson about reconnection, and it involves my college experience. My wife Mary Lou and I were at a conference out west about 20 years ago. And we were at a table of 10 people, and I didn't know anyone else at the table besides my wife. And a lady on the other side of the table used an icebreaker technique to get the conversation going. And she asked to go around the table, have any of you had an experience with a teacher that really changed your life? And she asked me right out of the gate, and I said, I have. And it was at John Jay College. When I went to John Jay College, it was in the New York City Police Academy, so early on. So most of my classmates were armed, not like at Manhattan College armed, but armed with guns, not armed with intellect and personality and good looks. And so it was an interesting group of fellow students. And I had a professor there that I described to the table was amazing. She's a little woman. She had a big afro. She wore like big boots. And she taught government and history and the Constitution. And she would get this class, rocking every day, yelling, taking sides. And then she'd make them turn arguments and take it the other way. And so I started spending some time with her after class. And I just found this woman to be intriguing. And she had a big impact on my life and gave me some great advice, especially when I talked to her about this business that I had bought and what I was trying to do with it. And so I went on with my praises, and the woman across the table who asked the question originally said to me, Jim, are you speaking about Blanche Cook? And I said, yes, I am. How did you guess that? She goes, well, Blanche is one of my best friends. And then she said, have you ever told that to Blanche? And the answer was no. I had never told her that, and I hadn't seen her in a very long time. But I resolved when I got back to New York, I'd change that, and I did. I went to see Blanche, and we had a wonderful conversation, which ended in only 2 of us crying. But she had an amazing impact on my life, and I finally righted my wrong, reconnected, and told her how she impacted. I used my power to change the way she felt, and of course, to change the way I feel. Now, the good news is we all have this amazing power to change the way people feel. And I'm here to tell you that I've never, in all my years alive, not just in business, never heard someone say, I have way too much love, way too many good relationships in my life. I've never heard it, and I don't expect I ever will. I did have a meeting last week with Jeff Bezos. He might have too much money, but not too much love. So I encourage you to think about what we've seen, especially during COVID, when we were deprived of all those little micro contacts, those little micro relationships. It could be with your barista, it could be with the person you interact with at the dry cleaner, at a restaurant, or it might be when you walk by and you see your barber and you wave in through the window. I do a lot more waving in through the window than stopping by for any work these days. And I dare suggest that if I asked each of you, do you have a favorite restaurant? And if the answer was yes, I bet it's the restaurant that doesn't have the best food, but they know your name. It's all about how do we connect, how do we develop relationships. I was just chatting in the back room before about an incident I had just a month ago. So at Flowers, our main office is on Long Island. We've got about 500 people out there. Then we have an office in Manhattan here, about 100 people. And we just moved it from 28th and 5th to 44th Street by Grand Central. So it was my first day in the office a little over a month ago now. And it was lunchtime. I go downstairs to get something to eat, bring it back upstairs. And we have a doorman, and then after you come through the lobby, we have a guy at a security desk there. And he was a grizzly-looking guy, and I had just come back with my lunch, and the guy at the desk had changed, and I didn't recognize him. I hadn't seen him that morning, my first morning. So I went up to him and I said, hi, what's your name? And he looked at me, he said, what's fine? Who are you? Obviously, he didn't have a real good day, but I resisted the urge to let the queens in me come out and respond in kind. And what I said was, I put out my hand across the counter. I said, my name's Jim McCann. I'm with 1-800-Flowers upstairs here. We're new in the building, and today's my first day, and I just thought I'd come and say hello. Well, the toughness drained right out of his face. And he warmed up, and he took his hat off, and he came around the counter, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. McCann. And he shook my hand. He said, I was having a bad day, but he said, thanks for smacking me out of it. And I want to tell you now, I'm in and out of the building all the time. I get the biggest reception from Andy every time I come by because we had a little moment where one of us in the beginning extended, but then the other reciprocated. And so what I'm saying is when we use our power to build relationships, there's so much benefit that comes from it. And I'm asking you to do one more thing, and that is you obviously had a plan in life. And today you can put a big old check mark on the next to education because you've done it. But I'm suggesting you need to have a plan in life just the same way you did for your education with the relationships in your life. Whether they're business relationships, family relationships, personal relationships, write your plan down. I suggest you do it in the beginning of the year, but you can start now. And who are the relationships you want to renew, the reconnections, who are the relationships you don't have? And in your circumstances, who are the people you want to thank for today that got you here? Not just pat yourself on the back, but what family members do you want to thank? What classmates do you want to maintain relationships with? What professors do you want to thank? What professors do you want to stay in contact with? Hey, you have a President O'Donnell here who's retiring for a year of sabbatical, July 1st. He's going to have plenty of time to stay in touch with you. So think about it. He's going to be lonely. And in terms of new relationships, I made a resolution just a few minutes ago that I'm going to stay connected to that Rachel Bowers. She is an amazing young woman, and I'd like to have her in my life. So I have a suggestion, not just for the graduates, but for all of us here today. Let's resolve to use our power to make someone feel better. Let's resolve that in the next 24 hours, we're going to say something, we're going to do something, we're going to write something to change the way someone in our world, or maybe new to our world, feels. And if we do that, I think that's 1,000 special ingredients of karma that will fill this room. So I encourage us to use your power today, and it's not limited to one time. No, I mentioned the 80s several times here today. It seems to me like the 80s are cool again. And if you don't believe me, I have 2 words for you. Top Gun. 1986 movie. It's going to be the big blockbuster of the year. Now, I'm going to tell you, that I have tickets for the premiere. I'm going with two friends, Judge Judy and Taylor Swift. And if you're good, we'll save a seat for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. McGann, for those inspiring words. We now come to the central and main purpose of these commencement exercises, the conferral of degrees earned. We will now call upon Dean Carol Nicholson to present the candidates from the School of Education and Health. Dean Nicholson.
Will the candidates for the degrees of Master of Arts and Master of Science in the School of Education and Health please rise? President O'Donnell, I am pleased to present to you the candidates of the School of Education and Health, Class of 2022, whose names are inscribed on this scroll, who have completed the prescribed course of studies and have been certified as meeting, as well as those who will shortly be certified, the degree of Master of Arts and Master of Science. President O'Donnell, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Education and Health, I request that you confer upon these candidates the degree to which they are entitled. Candidates, please be seated.
I now call upon Dean Tim Ward to present the candidates from the School of Engineering. Dean Ward.
Graduate engineers, will the candidates for the degrees of Master of Science of Arts, Master of Science and Masters of Engineering in the School of Engineering please rise? President O'Donnell, I'm pleased to present to you the candidates of the School of Engineering, Class of 2022, whose names are inscribed on this scroll, who have completed the prescribed course of studies and have been certified, as well as those who will shortly be certified as meriting the degree of Master of Science and/or Master of Engineering. President O'Donnell, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Engineering, I request that you confer upon these candidates the degree to which they are entitled. Candidates, please be seated.
I now call upon Dean Donald Gibson to present the candidates from the O'Malley School of Business.
All right, let's go business. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration in the O'Malley School of Business please rise? President O'Donnell, I am pleased to present to you the candidates of the O'Malley School of Business Class of 2022, whose names are inscribed on this scroll, who have completed the prescribed course of studies and have been certified, as well as those who will shortly be certified as meriting the degree of Master of Business Administration. President O'Donnell, on behalf of the faculty of the O'Malley School of Business, I request that you confer upon these candidates the degree to which they are entitled. Candidates, please be seated.
I now call upon Interim Dean Janet McShane to present the candidates from the School of Science.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in the School of Science please rise? All but mighty. President O'Donnell, I am pleased to present to you the candidates of the School of Science, class of 2022, whose names are inscribed on this scroll, who have completed the prescribed course of studies and have been certified or will shortly be certified as meriting the degree of Master of Science. President O'Donnell, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Science, I request that you confer upon these candidates the degree to which they are entitled. Candidates, please be seated.
We now call upon Dean Stephen Goss to present the candidates from the School of Continuing and Professional Studies. Dean Goss.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in the School of Continuing Professional Studies please rise? President O'Donnell, I am pleased to present to you the members of the School of Continuing Professional Studies, class of 2022, whose names have been inscribed on this scroll, who have completed the prescribed course of studies and have been certified, as well as those who will shortly be certified as meeting the degree of Master of Science. President O'Donnell, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Continuing Professional Studies, I request that you confer upon these candidates the degree to which they are entitled. Candidates, please be seated.
Will all master's candidates please rise? By the authority granted to Manhattan College by the Regents of the University of the State of New York, and with the approval of the Board of Trustees of Manhattan College, and upon the recommendation of the deans, directors, and faculties of the School of Education and Health, the School of Engineering, the O'Malley School of Business, the School of Science, and the School of Continuing and Professional Studies, I confer upon you the degree Masters of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Engineering, Master of Business Administration, as presented, with all the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Congratulations to all. Please be seated.
The graduates will now be recognized individually by school. We will first present the graduates from the School of Education and Health, followed by the School of Engineering, the O'Malley School of Business, the School of Science, and the School of Continuing and Professional Studies. As the graduate students come forward, they will receive their hoods from the dean of their school and receive congratulations from President O'Donnell. Graduates, please follow the directions of the marshals. I would ask that the graduate students please remove their caps as they come forward to receive their hoods. It's a practical thing. And again, please hold your applause until all the graduates in each school receive their hoods and diplomas to help ensure everyone's name is heard. Will the candidates for the Masters of Arts and Masters of Science in the School of Education and Health please rise and begin to move forward? Dr. Kareen Fitzpatrick, Professor of Education, and Dr. Michelle Bell, Assistant Professor of Education, will read the names of the graduates as they process across the screen.
Rachel Elizabeth Bowers.
Marilyn Cabrera Freyas.
Caitlin M. Colery.
Brother Thomas Franks. We should have been close.
Melissa Furpo.
Elise Anna Geiso.
Eleni Jessica Glasgow.
Amanda Maisonette.
Erica Messina.
Diamond Regina Amomi Onomaki.
Rosa Inés Remache.
Jasmine Tovar.
Amanda Zaccio.
Sarah Isaac Confeitiero.
Rosana Durán.
Danielle Samantha Gronda.
Liana Jocelyn Jeremy.
Nyana M. Peters.
Jenna Frances Rogers.
Emily B. Stern.
Carolyn Desgroliers Aducci.
Grace Elizabeth Bassler.
Micaela Teresa Carnesi.
Angela Carolina Guzman Clavillo.
Kevin Vincent Hastings II.
Madison Renee Hunt.
Kelsey Lee Kovacs.
Oh, the speaker's going to like this name. Kieran McInnes. He's probably in the dines.
Allison Marie McCormack.
Juliana Carey Miller.
Dolores Mary Moran.
Megan Riley Moran.
Brianna Elizabeth O'Rourke.
Amanda Nicole Quatlander.
Kelsey A. Reynolds.
Nicole Sansone.
Lauren Spagnuolo.
KD Danielle Thomas. Olivia Ann Vlad.
Vanessa Znurova. Marie Mishana Maglor. Alessandra Vukovic.
Simone Thomas.
Patricia C. Wright.
We are now going to read the names of students who also graduated today and were not with us for the ceremony. Marla Barack Sanders,
Nicole Josie Leonard.
Arshdeep Singh Garcha,
Damali Kane.
Vivian Marie Roque Balboa,
Marissa N. Gentile.
Charissa Tamian Perry,
Jamie Nicole Bennett.
Evelyn Joy Tavin,
Holly Nicole Friedlander.
that's Thomas Franks.
Congratulations to the graduates of the School of Education and Health. The graduates for the Master of Science and the Master of Engineering, please step forward. Dr. Bauman Liktui, Professor of Mechanical Engineering, and Dr. Gennaro Mafia, Professor of Chemical Engineering, will read the names of the graduates.
Emily Aline Oldag. Dylan Ritchie. Ann Walker. Oh. Kelly Ann York. Kevin Matthew Bermio Fuentes. Carrie Elizabeth Brosnan. Paul Espinoza Mustafa. Taylor Malagone. Brian Charles McCune. Brian Joseph Murphy. Cameron Ray Nietzsche. Armando M. Perez. Allison Ann Terranova. Jason Michael Chan. Nicolette Noonchai. Henry W. Figueroa, Jr. Alberto Carmine DeAngelis. France Kevin Homicile. Good. Karthik Kunan Madur. Marvel Matthew Palladi. Daniel James Ahern. Leanna Bonanno. Charles Contreras. Alex Stephen Gualpas. Vishnu Canonbra. George Anthony Savino. Andres Felipe Montoya. Nice name. Podrick Kenneth Nugent. Sho Owakawa. Diego A. Pichardo. Alec Narish Pernan.
Tabitha Amanda Rivera. Michael Bischek. Catherine Marie Callahan. Jessica Isabel Chu. Glenn Elizabeth Fairley. Yunib Mustafa Kidway. Sophia Louise Miskevich. Christopher James Mulford. Haley Rose Noteboom. Maria Dominic Miguel Ong. Anjana. Raywan Nashuat. David Bannon. Antoine Chavanel. Jonathan Corrado. Paul Quadrado. Michael James Diskin. Caitlin Marie Hartnett. Sydney Bella Harwood. Augustine Hetiat. Nicholas James Impieri. Timothy Charles Pullman. Andrew Raymond Sprague. Matt Hassan Tamimi. Issei Homa. Robert Christopher Blake. Lexi May Milano. Joy Norris. Jason Andrew Rizzolo. Marie Helen Beto. Xavier Antonio Catala. Dylan J. Grace. Cheng Han. Erica Ann Jaros. Hedy McNavel Genty. Andy Law. Michael Noel McRae. Connor Dolan McDonough. Leah Catherine McGovern. Joseph Nafash. Raymond Romero. Rachel Erin White. Jason Wong. Abdulaziz Khalik Yusuf. Emmanuel Peter Fiktakis. Zain Khalik. Oscar I.O. Jack Powovic. El Rashid Abdul Hamid Tamim Eldar Ali. Kun Hanman Ong. Kyle Matthew Dennis. Lawrence Joshi. Situ Hine. Daniel Patrick Robert Salmon. Anthony Vincent Yani. Muhammad Yusuf Yusuf. Andrew Ashley. Patrice Bacaloy. Brendan McDonough. Erin Ann McWilliams. Charles Abaji. Silvana Jessica Esierno. George John Anastasio. Margarita Corrado. Diego Garcia. Michael Graydon. Edward Joseph Grimes. Michael Kuzumchak. Melinda Alexandra Enam Lavantur. Danielle Alexandra Levigna. Muhammad Faizan Mahmood. Nader Fazi Samarne. Matthew Haroon Starr. Raja Junaid Tariq. Nicholas James Vella. George Eric Zaravelis.
Congratulations to the graduates of the School of Engineering. The graduates for the Master of Business Administration, please step forward. Dr. Mark Waldman, Associate Professor of Accounting, Law, and CIS, and Co-Director of the MBA program. and Dr. Richard Ross, Visiting Instructor of Accounting, Law, and CIS, and Co-Director of the MBA program, will call the names of the graduates.
As they get to the D, get the next time. Okay. Amna Shafiq Ahmad.
Rabea Ali.
Victoria Marie Alonso.
Emily Elizabeth Anderson.
Anu Alawapo Awanusi.
Maria J. Blas Perez.
Melissa Cerezo.
Daniela Rose Chiarazi.
Anna Conchetta Crowley. Lorraine C. Diaz.
Shazim Doda.
Joseph Dowd.
Okay. It's okay. Christopher John Emerson.
Dylan Anthony Fazio.
Stephen Lederick Goldsby.
Rory Ryan Grady.
Kara Samantha Hodap.
Erin Michelle Hayner.
Xiao Ji Huang.
Megan Mary Jacoby.
Loretta Ishmael.
Albert Patrick James.
Emmanuel Camburis.
Julian M. Kirbos.
Jeffrey Christopher Lorraine.
Sini Evelina Michaela.
Cullen Patrick McGillicott.
Charles James McGinnis.
Jessica Rachel Mejia.
Ricardo Mendez.
Megan Elise Miller.
Nauras Musa Almator.
Xavier Jamil Newton.
Alexander Edgar Nieves.
Christine Mary Noon.
Jake Brandon Oliver.
Sharon D. Ortega.
Matthew Padre.
Nicholas Antonio Pagan.
Christina Peralta.
Alexandra Lee Pergagilo.
Sean Ramkishun.
Erica Bisa Rubel.
Juliet Santos Rodriguez.
Luis Santiago.
Cameron Marie Serrano.
Andrew Thomas Syracuse.
Jillian Nicole St. Ange.
Miranda Trejos Donahue.
Gregory Orena Arias.
Susanna Vallette.
Courtney M. Warley. Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Brian Vincent Holy.
These are the students who are graduating but unable to attend. Osama Abdel Fattah, Ryan Nicholas Barnes, Brian Tyler Baruso, Michaela Jean Cuney, Tristan Michael Duran, John Daniel Hannon, Samantha Harry, Jack Edward Joseph Hayes, Abdul Wahid Johnson, Aaron Michael Kim, Caitlin Teresa Lang, Thomas P. McDonald, Kevin Michael Maloney, Magdalene Mickelzik, Jonathan Nieves, Daniel Patrick O'Shea.
Deborah Ann Pfeiffer. Jackson Ralph Rawson. Kevin Reyes. Tatiana Nicole Rice. Kevin Martin Rooney. Nicholas Anthony Sadaka. William James Sinnott. Juwen Zhang. Thank you.
Congratulations to the graduates of O'Malley School of Business. The graduates for the Master of Science from the School of Science, please step forward. Dr. Angel Pineda, Professor of Mathematics, will call the names of the graduates.
Alisa Tipton. Sanjay Subajan. Michael Scott Sclafani. Ashley Jalen Morales. Amelia Adarbik. Jujing Paul Fukao. Eric Richard Chicotelli. Brother Abel Secone. Andrew Joseph Cirincione. The following students are graduating but unable to attend this ceremony: Ethan Jason Bigeleisen, Marcus Wong, Shixing Chu, Ahmed Atef Shamseldin.
Congratulations to the graduates of the School of Science. Will the graduates for the Master of Science in the School of Continuing and Professional Studies please step forward? Ms. Rosemary Osso, Assistant Dean in the School of Continuing and Professional Studies, will call the names of the graduates.
Curtis K. Thompson. Fatima M. Rita. Thomas Joseph Prizeman. Kevin Nesfield. Washler David Leddix. Jeanette K. Iftikhar. Nicole Dana Dorothy. Nicholas B. Alexander. Alexis Laverne Rodney. will now call the names of those graduates that are unable to attend. Caitlin Eileen Armstrong, Brandon Marshall Bank, Leah Giargados, Roxanne Modell 80, Nicholas Logan Maturala, Jake Joseph Nicolosi, Sophia Marie Pintamonti, Teresa Ann Scalone, Jordan Robert Scott, Kiana Volney, and Yukon Joe. Thank you.
Congratulations to the graduates of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies. At this time, I would like to recognize our graduate students who have been awarded medals and prizes. For each prize, if there's a next in merit, I will call that name first, and I ask those who are next in merit to rise in place and receive the applause of everyone here. And those who are award winners would step forward to receive your medal. The Fitzpatrick Family Medal. Next in merit, Father Thomas Franks. Won by Rachel Bowers. The Frank Durbinwick Award. Next in merit, Jason Rizzolo. Jason? Awarded ex aequo, Dylan Reckie and Kelly York. The James Strakansky class of 1962 Air Products Award, awarded ex aequo to Emily Oldag and Megan Walker. The award for excellence in the graduate study of environmental engineering. Next in merit, Jessica Cho. Won by Haley Noteboom. Excuse me. The Sigma Psi Award, won by Carrie Bronston. Carrie? I would like to acknowledge those students who have been inducted into Kappa Delta Pi, the International Honor Society in the field of education. The names of these graduate students are listed in your program. Kappa Delta Pi students, please stand and be recognized. Will those students of Omega Chi, the National Honor Society for Chemical Engineering, please stand and be recognized? I would also like to acknowledge the students who have been inducted into Sigma Chi, the National Honor Society for Scientific Research. Their names, too, are listed in the program. Sigma Chi. Please. It is my pleasure to call forward Dr. Brennan O'Donnell, President of Manhattan College, for his congratulatory remarks. President O'Donnell.
So once again, and finally, warm congratulations to all of our graduates. This afternoon, you have participated in a rite of passage through which we reaffirm our sacred charge here at Manhattan College to carry forward the legacy of St. John Baptist de La Salle. For more than 160 years, the college has prided itself on educating people who will make a difference in the world, people with the intelligence, imagination, and know-how to do hard work well, people with the desire, dedication, compassion, and strength of character to use their God-given talents for the benefit of their fellow human beings, people, that is, like all of you. Thank you, Mr. McCann, Dr. McCann, for your words of wisdom and encouragement, and even more importantly, for the example that you set for us all of a lifelong drive not only to do well, as you certainly have, but also to do good, treating those around you with respect and using your hard-won resources to recognize and support those most in need in our communities. Thank you, Rachel Bowers, for your thoughtful reflections on your accomplishments thus far, and for your reminder of the concept of vocation as a fundamental aspect of our Lasallian education. As you note, in quoting one of my favorite authors, Frederick Buechner, his wise definition of vocation, in this sense, means so much more than the preparation for a job, but is rather the meeting of the world's greatest need and your greatest joy. Or in other words, it is finding what you uniquely are being called upon to do with your gifts and talents to lift others up. Thank you to Dr. Schreiner, Goss, Nicholson, Gibson, McShane, and Ward for your shepherding skills in helping to lead us through these ceremonies today. Thanks to our trustees, our inspiring faculty, and our dedicated administrators and staff who join us today. To the mothers and fathers, grandparents, aunts and uncles, guardians, spouses of our students, and to the children, nieces, nephews, and friends of those students, whoever you may be, all who are with us this afternoon, warm and heartfelt congratulations to you. As the parent of 3 young men, 3 college graduates with 7 degrees among them, I know how proud you are of your loved ones here this afternoon. You've been with them in good times and in the midst of challenges to cheer them on and to support them. You've witnessed their dedication and their drive to succeed, and it's been your voice that has spoken to them when the world and its pressing obligations and distractions can seem to be saying, no, you can't. At those times, it was you, shouting above all of the noise, who said, yes, you can. Especially during these past few months and years of disruption, anxiety, loss, and disappointment, you have been there for them, reminding them of their strength and resilience and helping them to keep focused on pursuing their passion and finding their joy. To our graduates, most of what we've said this afternoon, appropriately enough, has been focused on you and your remarkable accomplishments and promise. But we would be remiss if we didn't take a moment before we end these ceremonies to acknowledge the fact that nobody gets to this place in his or her life alone. So let's take a moment to say thanks to those without whom you would not be here today, your professors, your families, your friends, and everyone who has supported you and said to you along the way, yes, you can. Graduates, please give all of these people in your lives a round of applause. At this time of year, as I reflect on what I most want to say to our graduates in parting, I find that my thoughts keep turning towards the spirit of a benediction, toward a prayer for you as you move into the next stage of your life, bearing with you the distinction of a Manhattan College graduate degree. And so here's a farewell benediction for the class of 2022. As you go forth from this part and this stage of your life, I ask for you of our loving God to bless you and keep you always safe from harm, to continue to surround you with loving friends and family, the delight in your youth, your consolation in old age, and your wise counselors always. To make you a consolation and a joy to your friends, and a wise counselor to them. To keep alive throughout your life your love of learning, your passion for justice, and your imaginative engagement with the world. To sustain forever the hopefulness that has gotten you this far in life, to increase in you each day compassion for others and your desire to serve. To give you the peace of mind to listen to your heart, to lead you through your heart and your mind to an ever greater understanding of what you are called to do with your talents, to give you the courage of what you're called to do. And finally, I ask for you that our loving God will make you throughout your life someone who passes on to others the good that has been done to you, a voice that says to others, as others have said to you, yes, you can, and I am here to help. Congratulations, and God bless. You can, you did, and we know that you can and will do so much more.
Thank you, Dr. O'Donnell, and thank you for your dedicated LaSallian leadership and guidance of the Manhattan College community throughout the years. Thank you very much. Before we conclude today's ceremony, I would like to thank all who played a large or small role in planning the success of the spring commencement exercises. Thank you for making this a wonderful and remarkable day for our graduates, families, and friends. I'd also like to thank all of you for being with us. Please rise and join in singing "O Shining Star, Manhattan." The words can be found on the second page of your program. Please remain standing as the academic procession exits. Thank you very much.